I want to talk to you about the drug of ecstasy, and in particular the ecstasy of getting something for nothing. I'm going to repeat that. The ecstasy of getting something for nothing, because that's where we are in America today. Washington plays the part of the drug pusher, and we, the people, the citizens, are the drug users and the drug addicts. Washington offers, you want free health care? Just take this drug, the ecstasy of getting something for nothing. It won't cost you anything. All we ask in return is that you support us and our programs of giving you more of this same drug in the future. We'll gladly feed your drug habit. So we get hooked on this drug, and it feels really good. Free college tuition, a tax cut, free daycare for our children, and so on. Absurdly, we can probably even get a free burial expense benefit for Fido the dog and Missy the cat. But eventually, we come down from the high and wake up to the reality of a socialist cradle-to-grave nanny state, and the realization that these free benefits weren't really free at all, but rather granted to us by Washington, the drug pusher, at great expense. On the one hand, these unlimited entitlements required borrowings so vast in scale that they could be repaid only by taxing successive generations of our children, who have no say in the matter, of course. Secondly, they paid for the rest of the programs with taxes, but under a scheme so diabolical that it could have been crafted only in the halls of Congress. They tax 5% of the people to pay for the benefits for the other 95% of the people. You see, the thinking is this. Well, these 5% are rich enough to pay for the vast sums required by our programs, but they constitute only 5% of the vote, so we can get away with this. Now, human nature being what it is, who among that 95% group receiving the benefits is not going to take that deal? But after the withdrawal from this drug, in our sober state, we know it's wrong, we know it's corrupt, and we know it's undemocratic. And the Washington politicians behind this are gutless and cowardly. Both of these tax and borrow schemes of providing something for nothing represent egregious forms of taxation without representation. You know, in 1776, the American colonists had a special word for this: tyranny. So, how do we end this drug culture and stop tyranny dead in its tracks? First, we passed this amendment, Private Property and Fiscal Responsibility Amendment, which limits Washington spending, taxation, and borrowing to a level that can't afford socialism. Secondly, as a country, we need to restore the novel idea that if you receive a benefit, you should pay for that benefit. This can be done with a flat tax, where the tax burden is shared by all, instead of borne just by a rich minority, while as much as half the population pays no income taxes at all. The current progressive tax rate system in this country is a socialism enabler. Well, you've noticed I've been mentioning socialism quite a lot. And I could cite you half a dozen reasons why I think it's a broken belief system and why its worshippers are misguided. And I'm normally not in the camp of describing each behavior as a new medical disease, but I would call this one EDDG, excessive and debilitating dependence on government. You know, there is an alternative philosophy out there, although not popular of late, that of self-reliance and individual responsibility, and that for those that are truly needy, that in the absence of government providing free cradle-to-grave care, that they can instead turn to their family, their community, and their churches for help. This is how it used to be, and under such a system, because the citizens are giving of their time and money voluntarily, they give it well and with discretion. As opposed to government spending funded by forced taxation, where because it's Congress spending other people's money, they are not nearly as careful about how that money is spent. The problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money. Margaret Thatcher. Finally, what are we to make of this increasing trend in American society away from individual responsibility in favor of reliance on government to solve our problems? Personally, to me, it represents a kind of death to the soul. This is America, not old Europe. For many of us, our ancestors in the 1600s cast off restraints of freedoms of various sorts and braved a dangerous ocean crossing on tiny ships, leaving in their wake kings and queens, monarchies and feudal states, and started a new nation dedicated to individual liberty and opportunity. They trekked westward in the 1800s, across the plains and over the mountains, furthering their drive to determine their own destiny. And when the land met the sea on the west, they trained their sights on space itself. That is who and what Americans are, or at least used to be. Let's get back there. Thank you.